Runescape escape rooms are amazing. Over the years, we all could witness some really cool trends rise and fall within the OSRS YouTube community, but in my honest opinion, in terms of sheer creativity, nothing compares to these escape rooms. But what exactly is a RuneScape escape room? Well, imagine this. You log into an account for the first time ever and you're trapped in a random place in-game. No home teleport, no easy way out, just a small area of the map, a handful of odd items, a weird skill setup, and a ticking clock. That's the gist of it. It's an in-game softlock puzzle, usually custom made by one player for someone else. The main goal is figuring out the exact chain of actions, using the area's features, your skills, and the clues hidden in your inventory to break free before time runs out. Every item could be a hint, every skill level might be the key, and the solution is usually way less obvious than one might think. These puzzles perfectly capture the experience of solving a real-life escape room while putting the player's RuneScape knowledge to the test. The pioneer of these challenges was Glitch, a mastermind who's been making escape puzzles for YouTubers over the past 2 years. Since then, the concept has taken on a life on its own, with others joining in and designing them, including me. Some of you may know I recently built an escape room for Josh Isn't Gaming, where he had to escape Mount Karun. Little known fact though, it wasn't actually my first. I also designed these 2 multi-account escape rooms, which were played by Only Trails 2 years ago. Let me tell you, making these rooms was some of the most fun I've ever had with this game. The video that truly inspired me to put my own spin on this concept was Glitch's second challenge. In it, Settled had to simultaneously play 3 group Ironman accounts at once, each locked to a different region, and find the escape route on all of them. What truly captivated me was how the creator managed to connect 3 distinct in-game areas in such a creative way. Each area had its own unique role in the puzzle, offering different resources and utilities. For example, one account's area had underground mines for gathering ores, another had a furnace for smelting them, and the third provided the light source needed to even access the mines. The whole puzzle revolved around these synergies and clever interactions. So Glitch, if by some chance you're watching this, you are an absolute legend, and I'll never stop being amazed by what you've created. When I first watched that video, a question stuck with me. Could I maybe, just maybe, design my own multi-account escape room where each account is trapped in a different area and must work together to escape? What only started as an afterthought soon became deep and all-consuming fixation. While scanning the world map and browsing the OSRS wiki for potential paths, I had 3 main goals in my head. First, I needed to locate those 3 game areas where the resources and utilities complement each other seamlessly. I started to see the RuneScape map through the eyes of a puzzle crafter, searching for potential challenge steps to do in each region. Secondly, I wanted to find a brand new escape strategy, something that no other creator had used before. And thirdly, I really wanted to add my own unique twist to the challenge by inventing a whole new rule set to it. While Glitch's work inspired me, I didn't want my puzzle to be an exact carbon copy of his rooms. However, balancing these goals turned out to be far more restrictive than I thought. Many potential locations had to be ruled out due to a lack of intricate escape methods or poor synergy with other regions. Also, while looking into teleportation items, I realized that most unique escape methods had already been used by others. But there was one unused method that caught my attention: the Slayer Ring. This teleportation ring can either be crafted at high levels or bought directly from a Slayer master, both requiring Slayer points. The idea of having one of my accounts escape through completing a Slayer task to gather enough points for this ring has really grown on me. Naturally, this further narrowed down the locations to areas where a Slayer master can be found. This is where Zeneris and Shiloh Village first came onto my radar. Initially, what made these locations interesting was that they both had Slayer monsters within their borders, making the Slayer Ring escape method viable. However, upon further inspection, I realized how big of a gold mine I stumbled upon here. Synergies had everything an escape room maker could hope for. A furnace for casting enchantable jewelry, a mill and a wheat field to make stat boosting pies from scratch, a range to cook those pies, and the cosmic altar where the quintessential rune type for enchant spells can be crafted. But if this wasn't enough, this place had an area-specific niche escape route. That's right, these market guardians here only allow a player through if they pay a cut diamond as a fee. And what's beyond the gates? A little known fairy ring that teleports you straight out of the area into Alcarid. And then there's Shiloh Village. The undead ones near its entrance were the ideal monsters for my puzzle. They are classified as zombies, and their high combat level makes it impossible for a 1 attack and 1 strength account to punch them to death, necessitating the use of ranged gear. This village also has a furnace for smelting and casting, fly fishing spots for potential cooking training, but by far the biggest asset of the area is, of course, the gem mine. What's the key ingredient of an enchanted teleport jewelry? And what's the entry fee for the market guardians in Synergies? Yep, that's right, gems, all of which can be mined here. The synergy between these two areas, Synergies and Shiloh Village, was just pitch perfect. All these findings naturally tie together the escape methods of all 3 accounts, along with some key puzzle steps for each to do. The Synergies logged account's escape method was straightforward. Acquire a cut diamond from scratch, pay the market guardians, and exit through the fairy ring into Alcarid. The Shiloh Village logged account's escape route would be to acquire a ranged weapon to kill zombies, and through that complete his Slayer task, pushing his Slayer points just above the threshold needed to buy a Slayer ring. Finally, the 3rd account, whose location was yet to be decided, would craft and use an enchanted teleport jewelry item, such as a ring of dueling, from scratch. And all of this had to be achieved within 2 hours of in-game time. Even though it was far from complete, I felt really good about this already. I spent a lot of time thinking on where the 3rd account should be logged in, and eventually the ranging guild was decided as the designated area. The guild had ranging shops, and since the Shiloh Village account needed a steady supply of range gear to complete his task, it seemed like the perfect solution to his problem. But hold on, cause I can already hear some of you questioning this decision.
But scaping detected, why the ranging guild? It doesn't have a bank, which means there's no group storage. How will the 3rd account send those items over?
Great question, and I'm glad you asked. The answer is, there's no group storage involved, because these are meant to be regular accounts, not group Iron Man.
But I don't understand. How does it work?
Remember my 3rd rule, I wanted my own spin on the escape room concept and make it stand out from the rest. And here's the twist, this wasn't designed with 3 accounts in mind. From the very beginning, I planned it with 4.
Say what?
That's right, 4 accounts, not 3. The 4th account isn't trapped though. It's a delivery account, an outside helper whose sole purpose is to transport items between the logged accounts. This character can move freely, smuggling resources from one location to the other, acting as the backbone of the entire escape strategy. There were 2 main benefits of going this route. Firstly, non-Iron Man accounts are much easier to set up for the challenge. And secondly, having the trapped characters trade with the delivery account could lead to a whole spring of funny interactions and new game mechanics to use. One of those mechanics which I've instantly fallen in love with was the use of the telegraph spell to transport items. This sparked a devilish plan in my mind. What if I knowingly logged the delivery account out of Shiloh Village by not completing the necessary quest? So the only way to exchange items would be to drop them outside the broken cart and retrieve them with the telekinetic grab spell. Oh boy. So I had my new ultimate master plan, one that will truly blow the mind of the poor soul who eventually attempts my room. But then the testing phase came, shattering those dreams to pieces. For some unexplainable reason, I could not cast the telekinetic grab spell over this stupid cart. The spell can fly above so many low obstacles like rocks, gates, fences, plants, whatever. But no, not this cart. Let's just say my thoughts about the Jmod who designed this feature weren't exactly kind. At this point, this whole telegraph scheme had grown on me so much that I just refused to let it go. The only way to salvage it was to find an entirely new location for the Ranging Guild escape account. After all, the only reason I chose that area was for its accessible ranged weapons and ammo. If only there was a location which is properly quest gated and has obtainable ranged weapons inside, with a fence the telegraph spell could pass through. Oh, wait a second. Oh ho ho ho! And there it was. The combat training camp ticked all those boxes. My devious plan was saved and the third account's location was finalized. I just had to not complete the biohazard quest on the delivery account, so it would be forced to use the telegraph to smuggle items in and out. With every puzzle step planned out, all that was left was to find a YouTuber willing to take on the challenge. Making self-made gaming challenges for others is something I'm actually quite familiar with. For example, I came up with a Spyro challenge where players must complete a level by making all the enemies in it kill each other with friendly fire. I've shared this with plenty of streamers in the past, leading to some really entertaining moments.
This might not be. Oh! Fuck yes! Pee-wee, dude! Got him! Got him! Got him!
However, I knew my escape room was an entirely different beast, not something for a mere Twitch stream. A multi-account challenge of this scale required a really long setup process, and it could be only attempted once, since there's no way of undoing progress once an account levels up. Because of this one-shot nature, I wanted to give it to a big creator where tens of thousands of viewers could experience that single attempt. I didn't have to wait long to find the perfect candidate. Around that time, one of my favorite RuneScape content creators, Only Trails, had just completed a single account escape room challenge. At the end of his video, he said something that caught my attention.
This concept is incredible. If you guys want to make any and send them to me over on Discord, I would love it. I'll pay back the bond.
Hearing that made my day, I seized the opportunity and sent him a message. When he responded with enthusiasm, I knew I'd just crossed the Rubicon. I had promised this challenge and now I had to deliver. I mean, what's the worst that could happen? When making the accounts, I made sure to match their looks with the areas they were logged in. I named the first one Zeneristak, and since he's literally away with the fairies, I gave him a dreamy look and a blue outfit to match the region's color scheme. For the second guy, Shylogged, I went for a tribal-esque outfit to match the Karamjan aesthetics. I designed Combat Prison to be a detained and tortured man, with scars inflicted by his evil prison guards. Finally, the transporting account was named Delivery Skew. I made him wear bright pink to represent his freedom, a stark contrast to the other characters. Once the accounts were created, the real work began, training them. It was a tedious process. I followed a detailed plan of which account has to train which skills and complete which quests, as well as how much remaining XP I should leave on them. There was one grind in particular that I truly feared, the Slayer Point grind. From the start, I knew that engineering Shylock to have the right Slayer task with the appropriate amount of Slayer points was going to be tricky, to say the least. A Slayer ring costs 75 Slayer points. To set this properly, 3 criteria had to be met. Firstly, Shylock had to be assigned a Zombie Slayer task. Secondly, he had to be just under the 75 Slayer points threshold when receiving the task. Thirdly, the task had to come from a Slayer Master capable of awarding Slayer points. Looking at the Slayer Masters, I found that Maskna was the one who met all the criteria. He rewards 2 Slayer points per task completion, or more if you are on a Slayer streak. The goal was clear: grind a ton of Slayer, level up ranged along the way, and visit Maskna every time I reached 73 or 74 Slayer points, hoping for a zombie task. The odds were about 1 in 24, so it required a lot of patience. For weeks I grinded Slayer, hoping for that perfect zombie task at the right moment. What made this grind truly painful was the lack of a quick way to reset Slayer points after passing the 75 point mark. So whenever he gave me the wrong task, I had to cancel it and grind another 30 points before trying again. If I were making the escape room today, I would have had it a little easier, as you can now burn 10 points instead of 30 by purchasing the looting bag. But back then, I wasn't so fortunate. Eventually, I used Veneka's streak boost to speed up the process and regain points faster. It was a complicated process where the knowledge of each Slayer Master's point system played a crucial role. Until eventually, I freaking got it! A fresh zombie task at 54 Slayer points. But since it was my 100th task in a row, the streak bonus meant that completing it would push it to 104, more than enough to buy the ring. I remember feeling so relieved when receiving that task. With this done, there were only a few leftover steps to do. Train the remaining skills on each account, complete the required quests, and buy all the necessary items for the puzzle. The last thing to do was to test everything again. I was terrified of an oversight that could compromise the puzzle and ruin the entire challenge. Each of the areas needed to be meticulously researched. For example, keeping the telegraph spell in the puzzle came with its own risks. Casting it requires both a low and an air rune, the key runes for teleportation spells. This meant that if by any chance Trails got access to either a fire or an earth rune, Combat Prison could have simply teleported out to Varrock or Lumbridge, completely breaking the puzzle. With this in mind, I had to sweep through every little inch of all three areas, click on every possible object and interact with every available NPC. By this point, I was so deeply invested in the challenge that I dreaded discovering some obscure mechanic allowing access to those runes. In fact, I was so paranoid about potential oversights that I decided to have an old friend of mine test the challenge first. This friend was the perfect tester for several reasons. We originally met in-game as kids, bonded over Runescape, and eventually met in real life. Fun fact, we even went to our first real-life escape room together years ago. To do this, I created copy accounts for both Xanaristak and Combat Prison, training their skills from scratch exclusively for this test run. These copies mirrored the real account's gear, stats and appearances. As for Shylocked, there was no way in heaven I was repeating that Slayer point grind again, so I lent him the original account with an instruction not to kill too many zombies. I still have the footage of his attempt. Analyzing the choices he made and the different strategies he utilized was a great learning experience, helping me to better understand my own puzzle and find ways to fine-tune it. He needed a few hints here and there, but ultimately he managed to escape in a little over 2 hours of game time. Seeing this test run solidified my confidence in the challenge. As a finishing touch, I added a fictional backstory, an evil witch had cursed the accounts, trapping them in their respective locations, and a loyal friend had set out on a mission to free them. So, with the mysterious chatbox messages sent, the rules laid out, and the login details of all 4 accounts handed over to Trails, the stage was set. Within 24 hours, he dove straight into the challenge.
I was challenged to another Runescape Escape Room. This time, I would have to use 4 accounts. So how am I gonna leave Xanaris? This goes so much deeper than I thought it would. I just realized how little time I have left. Oh no, now it's an actual race against the clock now.
Watching the video for the first time was one of the most surreal and satisfying experiences I've ever had online. Seeing my carefully planned and crafted puzzle come to life was simply incredible. Watching him struggle against the obstacles I'd set, strategize and piece together an escape plan was indescribably fun. One of my biggest goals was to blow his mind with the challenge, and I think I nailed it. He had so many oh my god moments where you could almost see the realization hit him like a truck.
Oh my god, 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 we might actually make this. This is no joke.
Once the video ended, the next treat was waiting for me in the comment section. First, I left a long comment from my old YouTube account sharing how much I loved the video. Then, as compliments started to pour in, it really hit me. Wow, I made something that people genuinely enjoyed. And the best thing is, Trails himself really liked it too. He requested an escape room sequel straight away, which I've also delivered since then. Now, I won't spoil whether Trails managed to escape or not, that's for you to find out. Check out the video if you're curious to see how this story ends. Also, make sure to watch Settled's second escape room, which inspired mine. While we're at it, I do recommend a whole escape room marathon. With my old YouTube account, I've compiled every single one created so far into one big playlist. But it's quite likely to expand in the near future. Because who knows? Maybe I'll get back into puzzle making someday. Building this one room alone brought me far too much joy to just leave it all behind.